Okay, we're going to talk about a couple different ways to find equivalent ratios today. Equivalent ratios are different ratios that name the same comparison. Okay, we've talked about using ratio tables. Cookie recipe calls for 3 teaspoons of sugar for every 2 cups of flour. Remember, the order is important. If you added 9 teaspoons of sugar, how much flour? Okay, so we're going to make a ratio table. 3 teaspoons of sugar for every 2 cups of flour. 6 and 4, 9 and 6. Okay, remember, you have a multiplication relationship when you're making ratios. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so 3 to 2 is equal to 9 to 6. Okay, also if you look at the table here, when you're going from looking at your sugar, you're adding 3 every time. 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9. Down here for flour, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, multiplication is just repeated addition, so that's another way of checking your table. Okay, you can also use equivalent ratios to find unknown values, just like you can equivalent fractions. So let's say you had 1/2 and you want to know how many tenths that is. Okay, you can solve equivalent ratios just like you can equivalent fractions. Let's look at our denominators. You know that 2 times 5 is 10, so you'll do 1 times 5 is 5. 1/2 is equal to 5 tenths. Okay, and our next one here, 4/5 is equal to how many 20ths? 5 times 4 is 20, so you multiply your numerator. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 3 is 9, so 8 times 3 is 24. You can solve equivalent ratios just like you can equivalent fractions. Okay, in this one we have 50 to 25 equals 2 to what? Okay, well I know that 50 divided by 25 is 2. 25 divided by 25 is 1. Okay, or you could have thought 2 times 25 is 50. And 1 times 25 is 25. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Whenever you're dividing, check it backward with multiplication. 4 times 3 is 12. 18 times 3 is 6. 1 times 5 is 5. So I'm going to think 3 times 5 is 15. Okay. Now, equivalent ratios have a relationship between the ratios and within the ratios. Look at the examples above and see if you can figure that out. Okay, let's focus on this one. 1/3 is equal to 5/15. I know that 1 times 5 is 5, 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, that's a relationship between the ratios. I can also look, 1 times 3 is 3, 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, that's a relationship within each ratio. Let's go up here. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2, 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so equivalent ratios have a relationship between the ratios and within the ratios, and you can find equivalent ratios just like you do equivalent fractions. And remember, a great strategy is always to make a table.